Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be looking at my 2026 preliminary hurricane season forecast. I was originally going to post this back in on February 1st, like I did a couple years ago, but I decided to wait a couple weeks. But we're still in February. Nothing too new has happened since then. But yeah, without further ado, let's get started. I know I haven't posted since Hurricane Melissa, the last hurricane, but as y'all know, I'm more of a hurricane channel now. The people don't really watch my severe or winter weather videos. But if y'all would like to see that, then please let me know, and I would love to make videos for that. And then obviously I'll make videos for hurricanes and stuff. But without further ado, let's get started. So first off, let's look at the 2025 hurricane season. So it was a very interesting hurricane season, to say the least. It ended before November started, but the last month was quiet, though we do see that sometimes. We did see 13 named storms, but we did also see like 4 major hurricanes, 3 of which became Category 5s, and I think it was 5 hurricanes. Yeah, it was 5. Sorry, I already count there. But it was 5 hurricanes, 4 major hurricanes, 3 Category 5s. Very interesting. And even with the below average amount of named storms, 13 named storms, and the below average amount of hurricanes, due to the extremely high number of above average number of major hurricanes and above average number of Category 5s, we saw 131 ACE, which is well above average. So that was an interesting thing to see. The one thing we did see was number one, a late start, but that's not what I was getting at. We didn't see any hurricane landfalls, and we only saw 1 tropical storm landfall. So based on the analogs and everything we'll get into in a second, we could be seeing a very similar season to 2025. I do think it will be more impactful than 2025. I think 2025 was not unprecedented, but definitely not what was expected, and I don't think we'll see that again. But overall, still could be similar to 2025 in terms of the lack of very strong landfalls, and also just in terms of like the types of numbers we see. But I think again we did see notable hurricanes like Hurricane Melissa, 185 miles an hour, and then of course we had that tropical storm landfall in Mexico. But we always see one of those per year. Nothing too special about there. But though obviously, Tropical Storm Chantal, which in early July, which did hit the Carolinas, was something I did predict, and around the 13 named storms is also something I did predict, at least early on. The forecast did go up later in the season for everybody, so that was a little misleading to see all those, and also the models showing an active season. So that's why my forecast went up, like the models changing. But at least early on, I did predict 13 named storms, and throughout the season, I did stick with that Carolina landfall, which was still pretty impactful. So anyway, that's not the point. Let's actually look at the forecast now. So for ENSO, the latest ENSO forecast just came out on Thursday. El Nino conditions are very likely during the hurricane season. You see this black box? That is the ENSO conditions. Well, that is the ENSO conditions window for the hurricane season. So basically, that is when hurricane season is in that black box. That is June to October. November isn't here yet, but it's going to be about the same. Though even with El Nino, we won't really be seeing quote-unquote El Nino conditions across the Atlantic, and I'm going to show you that in a second. But overall, neutral is possible. The neutral ENSO phase is possible over the Atlantic, but really El Nino is what we're more than likely going to be seeing. So first off, let's look at the current sea surface temperatures. So we actually have well above average sea surface temperatures for much of the Atlantic and parts of the Caribbean and the Gulf. We do have below average sea surface temperatures, well below average sea surface temperatures for the Gulf Stream and parts of the far eastern main development region. Though realistically during hurricane season, unless the system was rapidly intensifying, a cold Gulf Stream won't affect the system too much because it will already be making landfall. It might quicken the weakening, so that might affect what inland states like say Georgia or Tennessee get from a landfalling tropical system. But Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, I did just say Georgia, but coastal counties and also like slightly inland areas, which is what we usually talk about when we look at tropical cyclones, that won't really be affected by the cold Gulf Stream. Though I do expect large warming from that. But anyway, let's move on. But the overall very warm sea surface temperatures is, of course, against an El Nino phase. Though we're not quite there yet, it could mean that even with an El Nino, we could be seeing very above average sea surface temperatures, which is what you can see here. So this is I'm not going to show you all the little pictures of the models because I know a lot of people don't want to see that, but also it's easier to just look at when I combine all the models into one. So this is a little bit of my forecast, but mainly the CFS monthly and the CANSIPS models, as well as the European seasonal model. So, and it looks at what they say for the average wind shear for each month during the hurricane season and sea surface temperatures. So we're going to be seeing above average sea surface temperatures basin-wide. That can be seen by the red. Though in the purple, the models are consistent with below average wind shear and above average sea surface temperatures, so very favorable for tropical cyclone development and sustained tropical cyclones. Below that is above average sea surface temperatures, but also above average wind shear, so tropical cyclones may be able to get a roll on, but the wind shear would rip them apart. And there's no consistent wind shear pattern in the top red, or it's around average wind shear, but above average sea surface temperatures are there, though that is a subtropic, so nothing too crazy going on there. Also, y'all, sorry if I'm settling on something that seems unrelated or just repeating myself. Obviously, it's been a while since I've posted, so getting back into that. But anyway, moving on. Precipitation anomalies. This is May to October. May, because that's when we really see tropical cyclones starting, and we're not on November on all the models yet, but this is based off CANSIP, CFS Monthly, and the NMME model, which also looks at precipitation. It was not in the other one, the sea surface temperatures. I didn't take it into consideration because it does not have that parameter on it, but it does look at precipitation. So yellow is below average precipitation anomalies for the hurricane season. Green is above average. What we are seeing is the models is the open Atlantic and near the southeastern coast of the United States, the very northern Caribbean, and the eastern Gulf, is that we are seeing well above average precipitation anomalies, at least for maybe not all of the months, but some of these spots, it's consistent across the whole hurricane season, but some of these months, we're really seeing it in August, September, and October, as well as June. The middle season is a little uncertain. But what this means is we could be seeing still some landfalls, maybe not long track systems like Hurricane Irma, these major hurricanes that honestly feels like we haven't seen in forever because we kind of haven't. Even 2020 was more numbers than quality, but that's besides the point. Sorry again. But point is, we could still be seeing some landfalls for close in development systems and tropical storms, and even sometimes hurricanes, to things that just also what we see a lot is systems that form near the Yucatan and then head across the entire Gulf, strengthening or just sustaining themselves before reaching land somewhere in the Gulf. Same with the southeast coast. So we could be seeing some systems like that. So not exactly forming right off the coast, but forming somewhere in the Gulf instead of somewhere out in the main development region. We could also be seeing systems that just go out to sea in that form in the main development region before quickly moving out of the region into the open Atlantic, or more open Atlantic, because the MDR is still technically the open Atlantic. Anyway, and also going towards Bermuda. So fish storms definitely are prominent in the models. And also, this is not mine. This is from a news station, so this is not mine. But the Bermuda High, again, it's a little hard to look at the models without the lines, so I want to make sure y'all understand. And also that it's just easier, more pleasant to look at. So this shows pretty well what the models like the CFS and somewhat the CANSIPS is showing. Weaker Bermuda High. So systems that form the MDR are likely to go out to sea, become fish storms, or even go towards even the Carolinas. That's something I did forget to mention. The precipitation leaves open. The precipitation anomalies leaves open. Maybe a system that could ride a little bit of the East Coast from the main development region, though we will be seeing likely systems that are affecting the East Coast will form closer to the East Coast. We could be seeing systems affect the East Coast that come from out in the main development region. But the Bermuda High will cause those systems from the main development region to go out to sea or maybe scrape the East Coast. Though that does not mean, again, we won't see landfalls. Again, the precipitation anomalies do show a lot of closer forming systems, which could supply the southeastern United States, the northern Caribbean, and even parts of the East Coast with landfalls. Though systems coming from the main development region and riding these coasts are not ruled out, of course. It says shelf riders. And of course, even though we could see long track systems from the NBR going towards the Gulf, though that is more uncertain and less of a chance this year. But of course, it is not unlikely. It's not impossible. Again, nothing is technically likely at the moment. It's only February. But anyway, yeah, there will be some dry air in the main development region. As you can see, dry air dumps, which could be seen by my graph where parts of the main development region were in red, which means above average wind shear, dry air, stuff like that. But yeah, this is another thing we could be seeing that is similar to the 2025 season, which is what I was saying. And finally, let's look at the actual analog years. So the analogs were actually very accurate last year for most things. The analogs were accurate last year, but they were showing too little of activity. And what I mean by that is they have been accurate for last year in terms of like tracks and such, but they were not accurate for two things. They showed too many tropical depressions and too little named storms. So they would only show like 9 or 10 tropical storms in the season, though we definitely had more than that. We had closer to an average season. It was still slightly below average in terms of named storms, but it was definitely much closer to the average. And they had too many tropical depressions. So there would be like 10 tropical depressions that didn't become named storms. So it would be like 20 tropical depressions and only 10 named storms. That is unrealistic for today. Sea surface temperatures are just too warm. And even with wind shear, sea surface temperatures and conditions are just too favorable due to, obviously, the past couple of years and this year, warm sea surface temperatures. So because of those warm sea surface temperatures, that many tropical depressions not becoming named is just completely unlikely and just not something that we're really going to see today. So that is why even like with the 2025 analogs, you had analog years that were showing like 20 tropical depressions and 10 named storms. Every tropical cyclone still became named storms. We had 13 tropical depressions and 13 named storms. So these seasons with 10 tropical depressions that didn't become named, sorry for repeating myself, but that's just not happening. That's just very unlikely. So that was not accurate at all, the tropical depressions. But in terms of tracks, they were very accurate. And if you adjust the named storms activity to closer to today, then they were pretty accurate. But yeah, here we see below, again, even with the very favorable below average shear and above average sea surface temperatures for much of the Atlantic, the reason I'm holding off on some crazy hyperactive season is like, look at the analogs. Very below average. So even though they are probably lowballing it a bit. Though we do see, again, some red for some notable tracks for out-to-sea storms and in the southeastern United States and even parts of the Bahamas and Cuba. And we'll get more specific now. The three most accurate analogs, again, these aren't perfect analogs. They're about 40. It was like 0.45. There was like a scale of how accurate close they are, 0.45, which is pretty accurate for this far out. But again, they're not perfect, clearly. But the three are in order: 1994, 2015, and 2006. It was like 0.45, 0.42, and 0.4, so very accurate. I mean, like moderately close to this year. I mean, it's like, so the ENSO phase and the conditions and everything were very similar to what we're forecasting for this year, this hurricane season at this time. And if that didn't make any sense, those years were moderately similar to this year, and they are the closest analogs to this hurricane season so far. So years that are similar to this year. Sorry, if that made sense. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So these are the main analogs years for the 2026 hurricane season. So top left is 2015, bottom left is 2006, top right is 1994. So we see in 1994 and 2006, we had 2 to multiple tropical storm landfalls in the Florida Panhandle, South Florida, and in the Florida Big Bend, and even towards the Carolinas there, as well as eastern Cuba, near the Yucatan and western Cuba, and Haiti. So those really seem to be where models are showing we're going to have tropical cyclones. 2015, we did have a Texas storm, but also, like I said, near the Bahamas, Haiti, and western Cuba, but we also had that Carolina system, which I was talking about. So, yes, those are definitely supported by these analogs, as well as many fish storms, as you can see, especially in 2006 in the bottom left, many fish storms. So that is something we could be seeing this year. And again, sorry for stuttering and repeating myself. Anyway, Continuing, let's look at other forecasts. So again, these are not mine. Dale Link's landfall forecast is on the left, and TSR's December 2025 hurricane season forecast. The next one comes out in April, but their December forecast is on the right. So TSR, tropical storm risk, predicts 13 named storms, 7 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. 14 named storms. That is wrong. It's supposed to be 14 named storms. I'm glad I caught that. So they're predicting average metrics around the board. So if you're listening, that is supposed to be 14 named storms, an average season, not 13. That was a typo on my part. On the left, we do see hurricane landfall forecast, and we do see the Carolinas and Haiti and Western Cuba, like I was saying. What he does is he takes like recent hurricane tracks that could be similar to what we could be seeing in 2026. These are not like analog years. Like 2024 is not an analog year by any means. But he doesn't think we're going to see any hurricane landfalls. Yeah, so he's thinking we could be seeing hurricanes near the Carolinas and near Haiti and Cuba, which I do think is very possible based on the analogs. But I thought it'd be good to just look at other forecasts before we get into ours. So let's get into ours officially, or preliminarily, I guess. So here are my activity hotspots. So based on the analogs, I do think we'll be seeing very many close-in storms. I don't mean like forming directly off the coast. I just mean they're not going to be forming all the way out in the MDR. But we could be seeing some systems forming near the Yucatan, near Cuba, and even the Bahamas, but also just like the Southern Gulf, for example, that could be going towards the southeastern United States based on those precipitation analogs and just the analog years. As well as many fish storms. Some could be going towards Bermuda, but in the northern main development region and north of the main development region, and that's very open Atlantic, is where we could be seeing elevated activity, or just not even elevated, but higher compared to other places. In terms of landfall hotspots, this is for tropical storms and above. So not tropical depressions, but not only hurricanes like Dale Link's was. So number 1, the coastal Carolinas, which I did get right in 2025. So I just like looking back in 2025. This isn't a Brian thing or whatever, but I'm just saying the Carolinas looking very promising for a tropical storm landfall, or maybe even 2 this year. Number 2 is Southern Florida and the Florida Big Bend, which were very strong in the analogs. But also those are just areas we've been seeing in recent years, especially the Florida Big Bend. And number 3 is the Florida Panhandle, like towards Panama City and such. Now, this doesn't mean areas like Texas can't see anything, for example, like Texas just as an example, but this goes for anywhere that's not in the red. Again, like we saw places like Texas, Louisiana, I think maybe Louisiana, but like Texas get hit in the analogs. I'm not saying they're exactly a lower average chance, but they are not as high as these other areas based on the analogs. But really, anywhere could be hit. Now, in terms of non-U.S. hotspots, again, the Bahamas, the far western Cuba, and the Yucatan and the eastern Yucatan, as well as far eastern Cuba and Haiti, we could be seeing some tropical cyclones or hurricanes based on the analogs. Now, my final overview for February 24th, 2026, my preliminary hurricane season forecast. I'm expecting 13 to 15 named storms. I'm expecting a little less than half of those to become hurricanes, so 5 to 7 hurricanes. Though I do think over half of those will become major hurricanes, 3 to 4 major hurricanes, like we did see 2025. Activity hotspots, the open Atlantic, the Eastern Gulf, and near the southeastern United States coast and the northern Caribbean coasts. In terms of United States landfall hotspots and numbers, again, number 1, the coastal Carolinas. Number 2 is Florida Big Bend and South Florida. Doesn't mean they're going to get the same system. It just means they're around equal. And number 3 is the Florida Panhandle. I do expect 2 to 3 tropical storm landfalls and 0 to 1 major hurricane/major hurricane landfalls for the United States. So I do think we're going to see more landfalls in 2026 for the United States in terms of tropical storms than we did in 2025. I think 2025 is an outlier, and I do think the analogs point a little more active this year. And either way, I do think 2025 was an outlier. So I do think we could see just slightly more tropical storm landfalls. So 2 to 3 tropical storm landfalls, especially in those hot spots for the United States. Again, I'm not saying they're going to be right off the coast. No, I just mean they won't form out in the MDR, like maybe in the Gulf or something. And that's what we saw in these analog years. They formed like in the Gulf, like the Southern Gulf, or maybe the Northern Caribbean or near the Bahamas or something, and head towards the United States. They may have not strengthened until they got near the coast, but either way, they formed like a little bit away, but some of these long track systems. But yeah, and then they strengthen, travel, and sustain themselves, and head toward the United States. So those are the types of systems I think we'll see this year. But either way, 2 to 3 tropical storm landfalls, 0 to 1 major hurricane landfalls. How inland these impacts go, how widespread, again, that depends on the factors of the system then and there. We can't forecast that. And even this, obviously, this is about as far as we can go. Now, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry. For settling. Non-United States landfall hotspots. 1 to 2 tropical, and this is for near the Yucatan, far western Cuba, and then eastern Cuba and Haiti. Anyway, sorry for speaking over myself. 1 to 2 tropical storm landfalls, so slightly less than the United States, as we saw in those analogs. In the analogs, one of the years was 2 tropical storm landfalls in the United States, for example, and the other one was 4. Now, it was 1 to 2 on average for non-United States areas, but I do think we will see at least 1 hurricane or major hurricane landfall like we did in 2025 in those analogs. For non-United States areas, as obviously they're closer to the warmer waters and in the open ocean, so they could easily see a tropical system that is 74 miles an hour or above. Sorry, that was not grammatically correct. And I think we'll be more active in the mid to late season. But obviously, I don't exactly know how early we'll start this year. But yeah, so those are the overview for this year. Again, 2 to 3 tropical storm landfalls for the United States, I think, and 1 to 2 tropical storm landfalls for the Yucatan. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. My first official 2026 hurricane season forecast will be either Saturday, March 7th, or Tuesday, March 10th, 2026. Again, this was preliminary. We'll have more info, more new info, and also more graphics, and info from the European model, and a bunch of new stuff there. The reason I don't know whether it'll be March 7th or March 10th is vital. Okay, so as y'all know, the European model releases forecasts every month, but they don't start doing it for the Northern Hemisphere really until March. And usually it's just a couple days after March starts, but for some reason, if they haven't done them by March 7th, then I'll post it on March 10th, which they should definitely have posted their forecast by then. But yeah, anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Any suggestions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see y'all next time. Have a great night, and bye.